Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Empressive channel. Kanye West is getting exposed for being a sexual deviant, y'all. And he has already been sued by his former assistant, Lauren Pisciotta. Now, she sued him for numerous things. She claimed that he harassed her, propositioned her, sent her all of these lewd and sordid text messages, and he was jacking off while he was in the room one time. I mean, if you go through the details in the lawsuit, it's just disgusting. Now, Lauren has been working in the industry for a while. She worked as an A&R and a marketing consultant and a project manager. And she also had an OnlyFans account, and Kanye convinced her to delete her OnlyFans and work for him full time. But he wrongfully terminated her and didn't pay her her wages. So this is also another part of her lawsuit. And some people might think, well, she's only suing because she got fired. Now, Kanye said the claims against him are baseless, and he's filed a lawsuit against her. And he's going to kind of put up this argument that she actually pursued him and tried to sexually coerce him. And she tried to use blackmail and extortion when her advances were rejected. So this is Kanye's response. Now, we don't know exactly who to believe 100%. However, it's not looking too good for Kanye because another person is coming out and accusing him of harassment. Now, there's this singer by the name of Nikyee Heaton who came forth and backed up Lauren's claims. Lauren actually used to manage Nikyee. Nikyee got discovered from her music covers, but she and Lauren started getting some attention by the industry when they started posting thirst traps online. And Kanye allegedly was obsessed with these two. He was obsessed with the way they looked, and Nikyee claims that he used them as his muse for his Yeezy line. Now, one day, Nikyee got a call from Kanye's people to come work with him in the studio, and Nikyee thought that she was going to record music. She walked into the studio and she said that she saw Diddy there, she saw people from Kanye's team, and she also saw 9 other women in the studio. And everybody was drinking. Kanye and Diddy were on one. They were completely drunk. And Nikyee went on to explain that they tried to drug her and take advantage of her.
I was going to kind of like go to my grave with this because, you know, in my perspective, it's like, what's the point? Who would believe me? What good would it do? I don't have proof. I'm not going to file anything. Like, me coming here and saying all this, if you've seen the posts about the assault suit or the misconduct, anything like that, like, and if you see the things about like, oh, she's lying, I'm here to say she's not. She's not. Every single thing that she said in that lawsuit is 100% true. And I know that because not only have I seen all the evidence firsthand, but I was actually there for one of these situations. So I was 19. And if you know anything about me, I, went viral at 18 on World Star and then on YouTube and like kind of rose to fame really quickly. And I was doing rap covers. So a lot of rappers were reaching out to me and asking to work. And all of a sudden I got a call one day and it's like, hey, like Kanye wants you to come to the studio. And we were just like, what? Like Kanye knows who I am? Like what? This is crazy. So we go. Every time we would go to the studio with him, it was like, yeah, he wanted to work on music, but there was something just like fucking weird about it. Back to me being 19 years old. This was probably the last time that we went to the studio. We got a call. It was late. We were living in LA. And we get a call and it's like, hey, like, yeah, he wants you to come to the studio. And we're like, cool. Like, why? And he's like, he wants to work on music. And we're like, that's great. And so we go, and it's like somewhere in LA, some studio we've never been to before, and we show up and walk in. We're there to work on music, right? Like that's why I'm here. And we walk in and it's Kanye and it's Diddy and a couple of people that we know, men, and we walk in and there's all these ladies there wearing their club gear, and Kanye and Diddy are already like out of their fucking mind, just like completely fucked up. Drunk, but probably something else. And we're like, okay, but like we were invited as artists. Like maybe these girls are gonna leave and we're gonna work on music. Like let's just walk in and just, yeah. immediately I felt like there was something weird, because, you know, there's always drinks, there's always, you know, the vodka and the mixer is just like sitting on the table, but we walk in and immediately Diddy hands me a drink, Kanye hands Lauren a drink, and we're like, that's weird. Like, why are they serving us? And I don't like to drink. Like, I don't like alcohol. I don't like the way that it like makes me feel. It makes me feel sick. So, but my manager, since the beginning, she was just like, I know you don't like to drink, but if someone famous hands you something to drink, even if you don't want it, just like hold it and like pretend, because you don't want to seem rude. And I was like, okay. And it was like a vodka cranberry, and I was like, oh, gross. And so I'm just standing there with my back against the console, just like pretending to sip this drink. My manager was sitting across on this couch with Kanye's cousin, and then the other girls were sitting next to her. And immediately I was like, there's something fucking wrong. Like, I couldn't explain it. I didn't know what to do. But I just like felt that there was something not right. But I didn't fucking know what to do. I was 19 years old, like just left home a year ago, new in the industry. Yeah, I didn't know what to do, but I knew that there was something wrong, basically. And I was standing there pretending to sip this drink, and my manager was sitting across from me. I noticed as I was standing there, just like wondering what's going on, Diddy kept looking at me, and Kanye kept looking at Lauren, and like they were exchanging glances, and I'm like, they're like watching me strangely. And I'm like, okay, let me pretend to drink, and like I'm not actually doing it. And like that seemed to like make them happy, like me like pretending to like join in. And immediately I'm like, there's something fucking in this drink. There's something in this drink. And I didn't know what to do. And I like, my manager was like across the room, but like close enough, but like not next to me, so I couldn't like whisper to her. But I wanted to tell her, I'm like, hey, don't fucking drink this. There's something wrong with this. But I couldn't. So I reach for my phone and I start to type, and Kanye takes the phone out of my hands and he's like, who are you texting? Like, you don't need to text anyone. Like, we're having a party. And I was like, okay. And he like puts it on one of the speakers, and I'm like, now what do I do? Like, I don't know what to do. And I see my manager take a sip, and I'm like, and then I see her take another sip, 2 sips out of this little vodka cranberry cup. And I'm like, oh, what do I do? 2 sips, and I watch her face flush. And all of a sudden, like, I look over and she's speaking really loud and like making jokes, and I'm like, whoa, like, this isn't her. Like, she doesn't make jokes. She's fucking terrified of people. Like, she doesn't even talk. And I was like, it's already hitting her. Like, 100%, I just knew that the drinks were all laced with something. And she starts like almost being like belligerent a little bit, but not in like a crazy way, just like really enjoying herself. And I'm like, that's not her. She doesn't even want to be here. Like, this is weird. And all of a sudden she like dismisses the studio host. Like, she's like, you can leave. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what's going on? And the girls file out. They go to like a different studio, or they go somewhere. And I'm like, I have to do something. I have to do something. What do I do? And I go to get my phone where Kanye put it on one of the speakers. And as I'm going to get it, I turn and my manager's walking out. And I'm like, no. Like, where are you going? And she's like, it's fine. I'm just going to the bathroom. And I was like, no, stay. And she's like, it's right there. I'm just going to go to the bathroom. And I was like, okay. And she walks out. And all of a sudden, I realize that I'm in this studio. The music's low, the lights are dim, but you can still like see everything. And I realize that I'm in the studio with Diddy and Kanye, and they're both off their shit. And there's 3 other men, an executive that works with Kanye, his engineer, and his cousin, and me. And I haven't started freaking out yet. Like, I know what the situation is. I know, I know this is a bad place to be in, but I don't really feel scared yet, you know? Like, because I'm like, there's other people around. There's other men around, and I know them. Like, I've known them for a while. Like, nothing bad's going to happen. And I realize all of a sudden that Kanye and Diddy have realized that I'm the only girl in the room. And they start coming towards me, and they're like, don't you want to take your clothes off? Like, it's so hot in here. And I'm like, no, fine. I'm fine like this. And they're like, come on, like, it's just us. Like, we're all just friends. Like, let us just, like, see, like, how you look. And I'm like, okay, I'm fine. And, like, I still haven't gotten scared yet, you know? Like, I'm still, like, this is a bad situation. I'm creeped out, but, like, there's no reason to panic. There's other men here. So they start trying, like, they're, like, pawing at me. Like, they're both drunk, probably on something else. And I start to get a little bit apprehensive because I'm pretty much, like, backed up against the wall. Like, there's only one exit, and I'm pressed up against this door. And I'm still not completely terrified yet, but I'm like, you guys stop. Like, stop. And they're getting to the point where they have, like, ripped my shirt off. And, like, I'm, like, almost fully exposed at this point. And they're both coming at me. And I'm like, you guys, like, seriously, this isn't funny anymore. And I look to my left where his executive is. Like, we know him pretty well. Like, we've been around him a lot. He's literally 3 feet away from me. Like, if I reached and he reached too, like, we could touch. Like, he's that close. And I look and I'm like, hey, like, I give that look where I'm just like, come on, like, step in. Like, this isn't cool. Like, you're a grown man. Like, you're like 50 years old. I know you have a family. Like, you know this isn't right. Like, do something. And this is the part that for as long as I live, I will never forget. It isn't actually the aspect of being sexually assaulted. That's not what haunts me. It's this. It's as these two grown men were pawing at me, trying to take my clothes off, I look over to this man asking for help, and I literally mouth the word help. And we lock eyes. And he looks away. I'm like, okay, there's still 2 more men in the room. And I look to his engineer next, who's sitting right next to him. And I know that he's married and he just had a little baby girl. And I'm like, okay, he's going to do something. And I look at him next and I'm like, okay, like, do something, say something, do anything. And he looks down at his phone and starts texting. And then I was like, oh. I look at Kanye's cousin next. And I'm like, do something, you know, like, fucking do something. And he spins his chair around. And that's when that, like, gut-wrenching fear set in. And I was like, oh, shit. No one's fucking saving me tonight. No one's gonna do anything. No one's gonna do fucking anything. And that's when I was truly fucking scared. At this point, they had ripped my shirt off, and they were trying to get my pants off. And I realized that I was completely alone. And I closed my eyes for a second. And I was like, God help me. My eyes were closed, and I prayed. And I said, God help me, what do I do? And it was like clear as day. I heard this in my head. And it didn't make any sense. I heard, go towards them. And then all of a sudden it clicked. My back was up against the glass wall. I could not go any further back. That was the only exit. He said, go towards them. They were already drunk off their shit. They were up. So I lunged forward. I stepped forward. And it, like, threw them off balance. Like, they were like, oh, you know, and, like, they stepped back at least 1.5 feet. And the moment that they did, I reached behind my back, I pulled the door, and I slipped out, grabbing my clothes. And I ran across the hall, across this corridor, and I hid inside of an empty studio that was black. And I sat there for, like, 25 minutes, just, like, crying, like, what the fuck do I do? And I'm texting my manager, and she's not answering. And eventually, I don't think I'm supposed to say this next part because it could hurt her case, but basically everything she said is true, basically, because what I saw next, I saw it. I was the only one who wasn't drugged. I was the only one who didn't drink their drinks, whatever it is. I was the only one. So I saw what happened next and who was involved. And that's why I'm a part of this lawsuit and like named in it. And yeah, it just that, I mean, I got us both out and I got us in an Uber, and she obviously didn't remember anything because she was drugged and I wasn't. And apart from the aspect of, you know, looking for help and they turned away, the only other thing that really, really fucks with me is, what about all those other girls that were there? Those 9 other girls who were drinking the drinks before we even got there. Like, I know none of them got out. I know none of them got saved that night. And I'm like, did they even fucking remember? Did they even know what happened to them? And I'm here to warn you guys that more people are going to come forward. So believe her when she's talking right now.
Now, do y'all believe Nikki's story? Do you believe what she's saying? Honestly, I will say this. I don't think what she's saying is too far-fetched. We already know about Diddy's character. We know what type of creep he is. We know what he put Cassie and other people in the industry through. And we know that Kanye has a fixation and an addiction to porn and sex. He's obsessed with it. I mean, look at how he dresses his wife, Bianca. He dresses her like a $2 prostitute, and she doesn't look comfortable at all. And I'm gonna tell you, if these two break up, she's gonna really spill some tea, and we shouldn't be surprised what we find out. In Lauren's lawsuit, she talked about what Kanye allegedly puts Bianca through. It said in the lawsuit that Kanye would have his wife and other women perform oral on him and his male guests in his Yeezy/Gap office. I don't know about y'all, but this sounds like another Cassie and Diddy situation. But maybe Bianca consented to it. Maybe she's down with what Kanye is down with. So we can't say that she's a victim if she's agreeing to it. However, if it comes out that she didn't want to do these things, then it's going to be a problem. The whole thing is a mess. I'm going to tell you this. Kanye better hope and pray that things don't hit the fan and Bianca spills the tea on him, because he would be done. But that's besides the point. Also, Kanye has admitted to being inappropriate during studio sessions. In fact, he admitted himself that he tried to proposition Nicki Minaj to a 3-way with him and Amber Rose. And he asked Nicki's boyfriend at the time, Safari, if it could happen. And Safari confirmed that it was true.
He didn't really know they was together, so he's down doing dark fantasy. And so I'm like, yo, Safari, you think Nicki will let me and Amber hit like what she said? This her man. Like, you gotta make these raps true. Yeah. Think me, you, and Am shit Minaj right? I'm like.
So if Kanye can say this and laugh about this, do you think that what Nikyee Heaton was saying is too far-fetched? I mean, come on. And these are just allegations, so we don't know if they're true or not. However, I'm not going to dismiss everything she's saying so easily. I'm not. But there is one thing I will say that kind of made me a little confused. Now, she said that she witnessed one of the incidents that her former manager, Lauren, talked about in her lawsuit. And she said that she was mentioned in the lawsuit. And I did download a file and I didn't see where Nicki's name was mentioned. Maybe I missed it, but I didn't see it. And the incident that Lauren talked about in her lawsuit happened in 2022. Now, the incident Nicki's talking about would have taken place in 2014, because in 2014, she was 19 years old. She's 29 now, but 10 years ago, she was 19. So I don't think she's talking about the same incident that was detailed in Lauren's lawsuit. So those details were confusing to me. And I don't know if she's lying. I don't know if she's telling the truth. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, what she's saying doesn't sound too far-fetched. And if what she said is true, it's really sad that the other men in the room saw her getting harassed and they didn't do anything to help her. And this is a big problem in the industry. We always talk about the deviants and how they treat their victims, but what about the people who condone it? What about the people who allow it and don't step in to help the victims? That's the problem. You have too many people who are watching what's going on and turning a blind eye to it. In my opinion, those people are complicit as well. So this whole story is really just a mess. It's really disturbing, and I don't know, y'all, but Kanye better really hope and pray that more women don't come forth and expose him, because it seems like his skeletons are slowly coming out too. Kanye walks around thinking that he's a god and he can't be touched and he can't be canceled. I'm gonna tell you like this: don't play with God, because God is gonna humble you in a way that you won't see coming.
I am God. No one can suggest to me, period. I'm gonna just tell you some real simple. God runs the world. I am God. I run the world. You know what I'm saying? This is really God.
Kanye, you're gonna really find out who God is. You playing around with his name and you playing around with his people, you gonna find out. Anyway, tell what you all think about this video down below. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you care. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.